I always say that to people, find something that gets you out of bed. This stuff here gets you out of bed. And if you can find something in life, anyone can find something in life that actually gets you out of bed, that's to me the key to life.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Hey, this is Jim Brewer.
Scaries on the wall. Another LA trip. And you got clipped. My voice is shattered.
What'd you do?
I was doing a lot of voices on stage. Like I'm doing my in-laws now. And I'm doing all these different characters, and then I do the sire stuff. What shall we make them do next, sire? And then I start doing the devil voice. My muscles in here are killing me. We're gonna have to start doing more days, because every other day I'm like, I wish you were taping today.
Hey, I'm always available, man.
Yeah, I know. Me and Margo are gonna work on stuff this week and maybe early next week.
Groovy.
You looking at?
Is he still bothering you?
He's always bothering me. All right, let's. I don't want to keep Pauly waiting. So if he's ready, we'll go to him.
Let's do it.
Hello, Mr. Pauly Shore.
You can see me, right?
I can see you really well. I can see you really well.
This is the good part about COVID. Like, this happened, right?
You're absolutely right, dude. You've been in my life pretty much most of my life. I'm going to say probably more than my wife, because I remember sitting. This is what's amazing.
Can I get some whiskey really quick? I'm going to get some whiskey.
Go get some whiskey, and I'll talk about you while you're gone.
Okay, here. Okay, I got the whiskey. Okay, I got the whiskey. Thanks.
So I think the first time I ever saw you was, you're probably not gonna remember this place. Maybe 1990 Tampa Comedy Corner. And I was just
Wait, is this the Rob Schneider podcast?
Yes, it is.
Oh, Rob, what's up, dude?
I'm doing good, man. Let me get my hat.
Okay, sorry. Okay, here you go. All right.
Now I gotta get my Rob Schneider hat.
Oh, there you go. No, what's up, Jim? How's it going, buddy?
I'm good, man. How about you?
So it was Tampa Comedy Corner. Go on.
I was gonna say, I think that's the first time I ever actually saw you, and you made me laugh so damn hard. And I was just, been following you forever and ever. It's like, is there anything? Is your brain ever turned off at this point? Like, there's probably still so much you're still doing and still trying to create, especially with this world, which we got now. There's so much, because you got the music thing, and you got the comedy thing, and a deep life thing. There's a lot of your world that I think has always been fascinating.
I think for me, I come from a place of care. I just care about everyone, and I care about the work, and I care about my shows, and I care about the music, and I just put my heart into stuff. Yeah. And that's the shit that gets me out of bed. And I think that's what's so great about the world that we're living in now with the internet and these podcasts and stuff. It's like, we didn't go through, my agent or your agent or what's the offer and all that bullshit. Like, right. This is just, you seeing me on Howie's, or Howie's seeing me on your thing. You're like, yo, you want to do it? Like, yeah. And it's just, and I just did Harlan's podcast. And my point is that we can connect with each other without the bullshit of look at what Tony Hinchcliffe is doing.
Amazing.
Amazing. Tony could have never fucking done that shit, if the internet didn't exist. So, like, the internet's but it's also awesome,
I
So
agree with you. I agree.
yeah.
So, we'll do interviews and people will be like, "Oh, what are you thinking of internet compared to when you guys started?" I'm like, I think it's the greatest thing in the world. This is, and not only that, like you guys, like you have so much to offer besides just stand up, which
Mm,
now the world is open to. Like in the years ago, they just knew, oh, it's Pauly Shore, the comedian, or however they knew you. Oh, it's from this movie or from that show or from the comedy store. I started growing even closer to you when you started getting very real about your family and stuff. And I was like,
mm,
oh my
yeah.
God, this guy's healing me right now because he's saying everything I'm going through at this point. And that, I think, it's opened up a whole new
Mm.
world of getting closer. Uh, I never
Well,
complain
it's like,
about it.
yeah, it's like, you look at people like, I guess Alanis Morissette, and different, albums and specials, and even Gerard Carmichael's doing his whole, I'm out of the closet thing. It's like, the thing that we have this, is, it's a platform where we can actually get our feelings out because, we feel more comfortable doing this than like with our friends or stuff like that. Even on stage, when you're on stage, you can forget about all the that's going on in your life, and you're like, oh this is going to be amazing, and you're like, it's almost like heroin, getting up there, and it's what gets us out of bed. I always say that to people. Find something that gets you out of bed. Like I woke up. I didn't get a good sleep last night. I had a late show in Torrance. It was awesome, and sometimes you wake up to take a piss at like 6 a.m. and you're like, should I go back to sleep or should? And you try to go back to sleep, and you're like, you know what? I can do so much stuff, and you go da 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 da. So like this stuff here gets you out of bed, and if you can find something in life, anyone can find something in life that actually gets you out of bed, as opposed to like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. That's, to me, the key to life is find something that gets you out of bed. And and that's what I'm so fortunate I found, and you found it too. At such a young age, we love this, and
Yeah.
we don't do it for the money. We don't do it for the money. We do it because we love it, and that's what the podcasting
Yeah.
is like, is like, oh, you're getting paid to do it. I don't really give a like, I'm just enjoying it.
Yeah. And that's why I love about you, Paulie, is like a lot of the, a lot of things in my brain, I know it's like I'm in the music, but I'm also into getting deep stuff and checking things out spiritually and trying to be funny. Um, it's
Mm,
hard. It's hard to hone all of that in, and I think my biggest struggle was always trying to, hey, can we make this a show or make this a thing or make that? We're not. I just don't care. I'm like, just talk about it. If we could do it, we do it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, who
yeah.
cares? We're past all
Yeah.
that. The ego's
Yeah,
gone.
well, that's what happens in your 50s. In your 50s,
Right.
you basically say to yourself, hey, I got 20, 30 more years left, period. I saw you talking a little bit before you had me on the air about going to Tanzania or going to
Yeah.
Africa or doing all that shit. And it's because you're looking at your watch like, shit, I'm going to be dead at 80 if I make it to 80. So I got my schedule. I got to go to Africa because I want to enjoy that. I want to check it out. And that's what it just happens at 50 in your 50s, and your
You're right.
parents die. Your parents die. You're like, oh shit, like I'm next. Like wait a minute. I don't want to have any regrets.
Right.
So yeah. So,
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're 100% right.
yeah.
So, what's exciting you now? I mean, I know you do the podcast. I know you do your own. You do your own podcast. Um, I know you still do stand up. Is
You
there?
gotta play this. Like you gotta when you come to LA, you gotta play this one nighter in Torrance. It's
Yeah.
fucking awesome. It's 30
Really?
minutes. It's 30 minutes from the Comedy Store, like that. It's like by Redondo.
Yeah.
This guy Nick called me up. He saw me. I did a show for Sam Tripoli.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sam,
Yeah. I
right?
love Sam. Yeah.
Yes, I did a show for him in the main room of the store. And this guy Nick saw me. He's like, "Hey, I want you to do a one nighter." And I did it last night. It was in this bar, kind of like club, and it was just packed, and it was cool. So I'll I'll hook you up with Nick, or Nick's watching this right now. He'll reach out to you. So when you do come to LA, it's a Monday night. Go bang that out. It was cool.
Do you jump on Sam's podcast at all?
I haven't been on his podcast, but I do his shows. Not that I wouldn't. I want to do it, but and I will do it. But
Yeah.
I do his shows sometimes. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: what is the biggest driving force for you to entertain at this point? Meaning, like in my head, I'm like, I've got this whole thing planned for next year, which I always do stupid shit. Like, I'm like, yeah, next year I'm gonna do this. You must have a couple things that you're like, man, I wish I did this, or I wish I can put this out there. Are you working on something like that? Is there still something that there has to be, because you're so freaking deep and creative?
No, I don't stop.
I know.
I don't stop, which is part of the reason why I'm not in a relationship, except for with my dog Buster. You know what I mean? I have my dog, and I get my love from my dog, and I got obviously Steve Simone and my friends, and I have that. But my come from is creating stuff, and I started doing it with Pauly Shore is Dead. When Pauly Shore is Dead came out over 20 years ago, that was like the first thing that I did. That were like, hey, wait a minute, I can like actually think of something in my brain and make this happen. And somehow I pulled that off, and ever since then I've been making shit. So and then the internet came, obviously, as we know.
Yeah.
And then because of the internet, you could do whatever the you want to do. So for me, I have a lot of stuff that I want to do right now. So I have my one-man show, which I've been doing, which has been great. It's called Stick with the Dance. Yeah.
That's on tour?
Yeah, I tour it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, ever since I was little, whenever I promote anything that I'm promoting, whether it's a movie or a show or anything, the interviewer always says, okay, that's great, but tell me what the Comedy Store was like. Tell me what MTV was like. Tell me what the Playboy Mansion was like. Tell me what Beverly Hills High School was like. They always kind of go back to that. So then I say to myself, well, if they keep going back to that, like I got to do something about that. So before COVID, I created a show called it's called Stick with the Dancing, and it's stories of my childhood. So it's everything before I made it, on MTV. So it's all those stories, and I've been touring it, and it's doing great, and so I've been doing that, and got the Richard Simmons thing that's happening, So,
what is that? Tell me about that. I don't know what that is.
So Richard Simmons, obviously he's the big guru, from back in the day, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I did I started doing it was like a workout thing in my backyard called Sweating with the Wheeze,
Right. Yeah.
Like, whereas I was playing it real, not playing it goofy, like really working out and getting people involved and on camera with with a fitness girl, and it's like, come on, guys, it's Monday, let's sweat with the weed.
Right.
The videos are out everywhere, so that went viral, and then people are like, dude, you used to play Richard Simmons in a movie, and then I got online. I'm like, I talked to Richard Simmons, and he wants to do it, and then like TMZ picked it up and says Pauly Shore's talking to Richard Simmons, and then this guy hit me up, and he says, let's do a short movie about you being Richard Simmons. So I did that. And that got millions of views, and we went to Sundance with that. And then I had a producer hit me up and says, let's do a feature film, Richard Simmons. So that's happening right now. So
that sounds cool, man. I would imagine you're going to crush that.
Yeah, if you look at the stuff online, if you just type in Pauly Shore Richard Simmons, you can see a whole bunch of shit about it. There's only one problem, though, is he hasn't approved it.
Oh.
Yeah, so Richard Simmons is being a little bit like this with it,
I would imagine he's very protective, and I mean, the only thing I know about him is when I would listen to him on Howard, and that's it, and of course who he was and all that jazz. So you're in the middle of filming that thing, but you don't know.
No, we haven't filmed it. We're putting the script together now with the producer. I got a producer from Warner Brothers who's got a deal at Warner Brothers, and he's putting together. We got a great a great writer that came up with a pitch. So it's like like anything in life, you build a house, you just kind of go
Yeah.
through the motions of the whole thing. So we're on the conveyor belt about right here in the process. So yeah.
Does anyone excite you anymore? Because I'm not sure. You're probably one of the people that have met everybody. Really, at the end of the day, you probably have met almost anyone, hung up with anyone. Does anyone excite you where if you go, "Oh my god, dude, do you see who I'm talking to tomorrow?" Is there
Well, Well, I knew I was going to see you, and you excite me. I like your stuff. I mean, I've been a fan of your stuff as well. From back in the day. We started on MTV together, and you're very funny, and you're very clever, and you're very physical, which I like. And you do all these characters, and you're from that Saturday Night Live kind of mold.
Yeah.
From that Chris Farley mold, from that Sandler mold. You're part of that kind of that cloth. So
Yeah.
Jim Brewer is a big fixture in my mind, of what you've done and what you've accomplished. So, when I saw you with Howie, I was like, fuck. And then Steve Simone says, oh, he lives in Naples, and I wanted to see you there.
I
So
want to see you too.
I'm a fan of your stuff. You're very talented, and we should do something together besides just the podcast.
I would love to, man. I
You
would
know?
love to run stuff by you. And I remember a long time ago, my God, I was in the middle of fatherhood. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I don't know if I was doing radio, whatever. And we had a conversation, and you were filming something, and it was just such a left field call. You're like, "Hey, man, I'm working on this, and we should try this." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'd love to do that." And I don't know what to do. It was, God, we're talking long time ago, 10, 15. I just remember I had little kids running around like, I don't know right now, man. My life is, I'm at home right now doing all this shit. But I always thought in my head, especially when I seen the things that you do and you try to create, I'm like, God, there has to be something I can collaborate with Pauly that we would absolutely be so entertaining with. I just never quite figured out. But yeah, I would
I
love to
think we
figure something out.
I
Yeah, go ahead.
think we
Sorry.
should do a buddy thing. I did something with Jay Moore a
Yep.
while ago called Silver Lake Vice Squad, and it's very funny. We did that for Funny or Die a long time ago,
Yeah.
and then I did a buddy thing with Faison Love called Bad Paramedics. That's online, where we play these bad paramedics. And I don't know. I like doing buddy things. So I
Yeah, me
think
too.
what we should do is we should have someone write kind of a short. You know what I mean? That we can
Yeah.
produce where we play attorneys or we play doctors or we play fucking, something that is, where we're playing roles as opposed to each
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You,
like a buddy thing would be really fucking funny, dude.
I agree with. Do you still mess around with music at all?
Yes, very much so. Very much so. I love music because music to me is another form of the arts. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you got, the acting, the reality, you got the stand up, and music is very difficult.
Mm.
It's hard to memorize the words and all that stuff, but yeah, I love it, and it's because it brings joy to me.
Me too. I'm definitely a frustrated musician wannabe. I ended up in my head. I ended up making not my head, but in my head, I made up this whole thing, and then I went and did a record, and yeah. And at the time, I remember listening, going, "Oh my God, I'm gonna be in stadiums. This is gonna be," and then I can, and then I'll open for my set. It's gonna be amazing. And then reality kicks in. Like, all right, maybe it was just a fun thing to think about. But that's what I noticed. I knew you were always around musicians, and you were doing something. Was it like jam in the van?
Yeah, that's my show.
Right?
My show. My
Yeah.
show. Jam in the Van. Yeah. So with that, the cool part about that, because you were talking to me a little bit earlier about the next stuff. So
Yeah.
the next stuff for me is I'm doing the one man show, which I don't want to say perfected, but I've been doing it for a while, and and now it's a monologue, so it's hard to
Whoa.
remember. So I do it at least once a month. The next time I do it is it's at the Bourbon Room, which is in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a cool spot. I don't know if you've ever been to it, but
No.
it's the same people that produced all the Rock of Ages. You know
Oh
that
yeah,
show,
yeah,
Rock?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's those people. They run that, and it's a really cool spot on Hollywood Boulevard. So I got that, and then the Richard Simmons thing. We're pushing that boulder up the hill, and then the Jam in the Van show. And this is the first time I'm talking about this right now. Is switching the format because I really like the show. And but I always thought like it was really good, but I thought it wasn't amazing, and I want to do something amazing. So I said, you know what? Don't put baby in the corner. Don't put Pauly behind the desk. So I said, F the desk. I don't want to be behind a desk. I'm not a behind the desk guy.
Right.
And I go, let's do it in the round. Let's do a town hall meeting. So now the new show, and I've been developing this for months, and we just shot the two first ones in Las Vegas. So it's basically I have a house band, I have backup dancers, I have a co-host, I have a bartender, I have like it's a whole show,
Yep.
and it's kind of like going back to the old MTV stuff. And I'm really excited. And the title of it is called the PMS show because that's my initials, PMS.
I love it. I love it. I want to hear. I want to hear more about that once that thing breaks out. I'd love to go.
Yeah, it's coming out next week. So.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah, it's coming out. We already shot a couple in Vegas. Yeah. Have you been to Vegas lately?
I have the last. I'm going there September at the Venetian, but you know,
wow.
I've kind of been not that I'm a homebody, but like when I'm not trying to entertain, I'm really tapped out. Meaning, I really enjoy. Like when I want to entertain, I'm all in. When I'm done, I'm like I don't want to do nothing. I want to go to Tanzania. I want to go to Thailand. I want to go to South America. I want to hang out with my kids. I want to, you know what I mean? So it's but I am in that weird stage where the kids are out of the house and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to start smoking pot and writing and doing this and doing that and sitting on a creek. So like when I go to Vegas, you know, I'm not a drinker. So I'll have a drink, but I don't like getting hammered. I'm not a gambler. So when I go there,
I was just saying this because Wise Guys is my club down there. So I know you play Wise Guys. It's a great room. It's where everyone's playing now. David Tell just played there.
It's very
Ari
funny.
Ari Shafir, Duncan Trussell. You know, all the people from Kill Tony are all playing there. So Wise Guys, you know, is Keith runs it in Utah.
Yeah.
You know, Keith Stubbs in Utah. So he's got 2 clubs in Vegas.
Wow, good for you. I always liked that guy. I love what I always love what he was doing out in Salt Lake.
Yeah, let me plug my phone. One sec.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but that's a cool room. So next time you play Vegas,
okay.
I was just telling you to go because that's a good club.
Well, I'll check that because I'm going to get in early. Is it every day of the week?
I don't know. It's just go check it out. There's 2 of them.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go check that out. So with all that said, God, you got so much going on. I gotta say, the next time I go to LA, I'd love to connect and just hang out for a little bit. Maybe we go catch some coffee, shoot some ideas, get a little creative. Even if I can help you with something, I'm in that world too. And it seems like you found a calm about you. Is that just where you're at in life and some of the things you've been through? I mean, you kind of set it up front, like when you lose your parents, which I lost both mine. I've lost brother, sister. Just when you have that, it really humbles, or at least puts in perspective what life is. I think for me,
yeah. Well,
but you have this incredible peace about you.
The what?
It seems like you have incredible peace about you.
Yeah. It is. when you do when what happens to you, happens to me, happens to your callers, you lose your siblings, you lose your family, you essentially become an orphan. You, on the other hand, you have a family, you're still married, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have a new family. See, so for me, and for a lot of people that lose, they don't have that. I have my dog. It's hard for me. Relationships, that's a whole other podcast. I don't want to get into that.
Right, right,
But
right.
you
Right.
know,
Right.
that's a whole that's a whole
That's a whole other mess.
up thought process of my situation because of where I was raised and my family, and my parents divorced when I was 3, and being around Sam Kennison and Richard Pryor and Robin and all these guys that just had the worst relationships. And also the fame thing. Do they like me because I'm famous? Do they not like me because,
Ah.
do they want you because, there's all that kind of like, but again, I don't want to get into that. The point is that when you lose people and you get all up from it, you say to yourself, hey, wait a minute. The people that I lost don't want me to mourn anymore. They want me to stop being a little bitch and move on. So, like my parents, like they don't want me to mope about them anymore. They want me to say, hey, enjoy your next 30 years. And so I've been shifting the last 5 years to just look forward, just to move forward and look back on my family stuff and with a wink and a smile, as opposed to like, oh, I'm so, and I'm not saying I don't shift into being depressed about my mom. I
Right.
was closer to my mom than anyone.
Yeah.
And now that everyone's, oh, Mitzi Shore, Mitzi Shore, and I'm like, dude, that's my mom, bro. Like,
Right.
yeah, Mitzi Shore, she created this and that. I took care of her for 15 years when she was dying. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
you weren't there. I was there. Like, where were you then? You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
not mad about that, and I'm happy they're celebrating her. But my point is that she's my mom. I don't look at her as Mitzi Shore.
That's
I
right.
look at her
That's
as
right.
my mom, like your mom.
That's right.
Whatever your mom did, it doesn't mean anything. What means
That's right.
something is she packed your sack lunch, or she took you to school, and she put Vicks on your chest when you were sick, and all that that my mom did for me. And that's, not having that because I was such a mama's boy. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So when I
Yeah.
talk about my mom, I get very emotional
Yeah.
because I miss her every day.
Yeah.
And it's hard, it's hard,
Yeah.
And so, it's so the calmness is me, again, I'm like you, I don't really party, to be quite honest.
I know.
I'm not out doing it. I lived in Vegas, bro. I lived in Vegas for 3 years during COVID. Guess how many times? Guess how many times I gambled?
Twice.
Zero.
Zero.
Zero. I don't
Yeah.
gamble. And even drinking and partying, like I was raised at the Comedy Store. Vegas ain't gonna break me.
That's right. That's right.
Be like, oh, you're Pauly's moving to Vegas. He's getting all up. I partied once in a while. Like I'm not a drug addict. Okay, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't have to
Right.
keep doing it. I'm fortunate that I'm not that guy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm fortunate that I don't have that thing where like I had a girlfriend, like she had to keep drinking. You know what I mean? Like you can't have one. You can, and that's a sickness. That's a disease. I'm lucky I don't have that. So for me, you know, trust is a big issue. My family stuff is heavy for me.
Mm.
I go to the gym 5 days a week.
Yeah.
I go to the spa 5 days a week. I get massages at least once a week,
Yeah.
and I eat good food and I take care of myself. And I'm not burnt out on the road. I'm not like fucking DL Hughley who's fucking just out there every fucking weekend, dude. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, I did a little, probably too much this year, but so
I've done it. I've done it, but now that I'm 56,
yeah,
I want to just because our biggest currency, Jim, is our time.
you're right.
That's
You're
our
right.
biggest currency.
You're
and
right.
also our health.
That's right. Well, I just want to tell you, I'm not going to keep you long. I just want to tell you, I'm very inspired by a lot of things you said because I always try to see the human
Mm,
You know, and I used to think about, you know, people say, "Oh, it's Pauly Shore, it's Mr." I'm like, exactly the environment you grew up in, the people that were always around you, um, but they never really get through that, and they see the human. And I would always try to see the human. I saw the human in you a long time ago, meaning, you know, mom is famous in this, and the people that are around you and stuff like that. And I gotta say, I've always admired you trying to balance that out.
mm.
And people like you, I've always looked up to you because of those scenarios that people don't understand how what a struggle that is, especially like you said, even the trust issues. Of course, you have trust issues, and you didn't know who was getting to you. And because of that, and all that you've done creatively, um, and then some personally, I just want to say I really just wanted to have a solid conversation with you, and I'm really glad I did. And
Mm.
whatever I could do and keep rooting for you and all the stuff you're doing, I'm always excited for you, Pauly. So I just want to say I'm super stoked that you took the time to hang out today.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I love you too. I've always thought you were great as well. And I've always liked your style. You're very talented. There's people that are talented, and there's people that are not talented.
Yeah,
And
no, I know. And
my
you
dad, my dad would think the same thing, and my mom would think the same thing. You're very, you know, uh, you got all these different sides as well, and you like it. You're an entertainer. You like to have fun and around. You never grew up. I never grew up.
And I think that's part of the key, to be honest with you. I think it's keeping the child alive inside of
Yeah,
us, keep that playful child alive all the way as long as we can. Well, I appreciate your kind words, and I feel exactly the same about you. Um,
yeah.
Safe journeys,
So,
man. Hopefully, I
all
get
right.
to see the one man show out there, and I'm going to post it. We're going to post the dates, and hopefully, we can catch one of those.
Yeah,
I'd
we
love
got
to.
the one man show. It's called Stick with the Dancing. It's going to be everywhere. Also, my new structure of my podcast. It's still produced by Jam in the Van. Those guys are fucking awesome, and it's called the PMS Show, and it's going to be wild and fun and different and free. And then also my Richard Simmons thing. So
Yeah,
to happen, and we all want to move forward. That's the thing about life. We don't want to be stuck in the past.
that's right.
We want to move forward and kiss our past, and just move forward. And any of your viewers here, my only advice to you, and I say this to everyone, is about life, is try to find something that gets you out of bed, that inspires you. It could be anything. So there you
Absolutely.
go.
Much love, Pauly. Take care,
All
brother.
right. Peace.
Have,
Bye.
have a good one.
Later. Bye.
Yeah, see, that's what I love the human Pauly Shore. I mean, I love the entertainer Pauly Shore, but I also love the human. And I love finding when you cipher through, we forget. And you look at an entertainer, you look at a ball player, you look at whoever you look up to, you forget there's a human in there, a human with a mom, a dad, siblings, kids, relationships. And we tend to forget that. So wherever you are, make sure you go check out Pauly Shore. Great guy. I mean, like I said, he's been in my life, my whole life. I think from the time I was a young person, he inspired me because he was around, he was my age. And there he was doing things. I'm like, wow, I'm that close. I could see this guy. And then as I would pull away from the entertainment world and get more into personal family life stuff, that became way more important to me than anything else. And I think it's exciting to see what Pauly Shore's doing. And we'll see you next week on the Breuniverse. Have a good one.
Take a look around and what do you see? London down tonight, we're making history.
Hey, this is Jim Breuer, and I got my own Patreon page, and hopefully you'll check it out. Live comedy concert streamed once a month. Early access to the Breuniverse podcast every single week, and have bonus footage and bonus segments. I promise you I'm not going to let you down.
go check out my official Jim Breuer Patreon page, and I'll see you there.
How many people are like, I thought this was a stand-up show. Like, what's going on? I apologize. There you go.